I heard the other day that a colleague is throwing in the towel. They have quit the band that they were working with. They are going back to school to study IT or computer networking or something like that. And that got me to thinking about quitting live sound. And so I thought I would share that thinking with you and think, what does it mean if you quit live sound? Or more specifically, if I quit live sound, what does it mean to me? And what are the reasons for not quitting live sound? If you're jaded with the industry and fed up, or if you're completely new and you're thinking, why would this crazy mofo quit live sound? Then this video is for you. So why might you quit live sound? Why might I quit live sound? One of the most common reasons that comes up, and the reason that my colleague quit, is basically just burnout. Is fatigue. It's working too much, too hard, taking on too many jobs, and maybe taking on jobs that don't pay so well. And you end up completely dead. You end up using all of your energy to go to work, and you don't have energy left at the end of the day to care about your work, to care about your life outside of work, to build a life outside of work. And it can get really, really troublesome. A lot of the time in this industry, shifts are 10 hours, 12 hours long, and it's also not unusual to go even higher than that. I've worked 16-hour days before. I'm sure most people in the industry have, but that's not healthy. No one should be working 16-hour days. And those shorter, long days, like the 10-hour and the 12-hour ones, are just kind of like just long enough that it's painful for you to work, but not long enough that you would split it in two and have 2 work days. Another reason why you might think about quitting is the inconsistency and gaps in your work, gaps in your working life. You know, if most of the people that I know that work in live sound are freelancers, we work on a sort of ad hoc basis. People phone us up, people send us a message and they say, hey, are you free on this date? And we pencil it into our diary. And that kind of works for us and against us, but we get a bit paranoid about the diary not being full. And when someone calls and offers us a show, we just say yes. I've done loads of shows where I've put 2 in one day because I'm working in the morning and someone phones me and asks if I can work the evening, and I just say, yeah. And there you go, there's a 16-hour day right there. It's not healthy, it's not smart, but you feel obliged to fill your calendar up when you can. When you're a freelancer, you don't get paid holidays, right? So Christmas, spending time with family, or any holiday, insert religious or cultural festival here, any kind of holiday you want to take off or where people traditionally don't work, you just don't get paid. So that's another reason why you might quit, because the inconsistency is killing you and causing you a lot of stress. The third reason why you or I might quit is lack of progress. When any of us start working in this industry, at least when I started working in this industry, like I had a dream of I'm not Martin Luther King. I had a dream of working a lot with bands, just working with music, because I played in a band and I made music and that made me happy and I just wanted to be around it forever. So I wanted to mix bands, be around bands and music all the time, go on tour, mix artists, travel the world, that kind of thing, as I'm sure many, many people do. And I still do mix quite a lot of bands, but some other stuff started to creep in, right? Some conference and corporate stuff. And somehow that seems lucrative. And the conferences just suck the soul right out of you. And you sit there and you're like, what? Why am I here? How did someone who loved music and loved working with bands end up sitting in a conference room listening to the bank manager talk about inflation? There's this other thing that happens as well when you work in a venue. In the beginning, when you're doing that, you're in little basements and you are the person mixing the bands. And you're mixing bands every single night of the week. You're mixing 4 or 5 bands a night. It's crazy and you learn tons. And then you move up and you get to a kind of bigger venue, like 1,000-cap venues. And suddenly everyone brings their own sound engineer with them. And you don't get to mix as much. I don't get to mix as much as I would like. I would much rather be on tour with an artist, playing with all the buttons and being responsible for the sound, than being the guy sitting in the corner going, yep, PA works, everyone's happy. If a band comes in with their whole entire system, as long as your speaker system is working, any problems that happen are the band's problem to solve. And originally that might sound fun, but you lack agency. You don't get to exercise your creative muscles. So that can get tiring. And you got into the career because you are creative and you like to express yourself. Then you have to find other ways to express yourself. Or you have to find some ways to get on tour. So if anyone's looking for a front of house tech for a tour, send me an email. But ultimately, if you stagnate and you're just sitting in the corner watching other people live their best life, so to speak, then that can wear you down and that can make you think about quitting. But then, if I were to quit, what would I do? What would you do if you quit? If this is intriguing, cathartic, or therapeutic, I'd love it if you could subscribe to the channel. There's more of this stuff there. You could do as my colleague is doing and retrain in a sort of IT profession. We understand quite a lot about IT. I don't know if people call it IT anymore. That's what they called it when I was in school. But we understand quite a lot about computers and networking just because things like Dante and networked audio and networked wireless units all came into our lives, and we have to know a little bit about IP addresses and a little bit of networking. I can guarantee you that you know more about networking than the average person on the street. So if you're trying to get a job in IT, that's a good place to start from. Another option that I've read about is that you transition into sort of sales and management. You find a big retailer like, Sweetwater in the US, Tommen in the EU, that kind of thing. And you could try and get a job there being a sales rep because you're knowledgeable about the gear. You know everything there is to know about mixers. You know what other techs need to know about the products. And that makes you really, really well suited for selling that stuff to them. Or even just if you were working in customer support or sort of technical support, if you are used to problem solving systems, chances are you're quite helpful as someone on the other end of a phone. Hey, I have this problem. Can you fix it? That's probably something we've all done before. A third option, which is probably not an option for me, but might be an option for you, is moving into sort of hardware development or repair. If you're good at speakers, if you know how to put speakers together, if you're good at soldering things, good at sort of small scale electronics, then maybe that's an option. So if you're a kind of person that opens things up and fixes them and goes about with a Pelican case full of tools and uses them all the time, then that might be an option for you. But then the more I think about all of these roles, about IT and project management and worse, soldering things, the more I think about the reasons that I have to stay in this job. All those options, to be honest, to me sound terrible. They don't sound fun at all. The first reason I would stay is I love it. I love the craft of making a mix, of making a show, being part of this high energy one night experience. Even if it's not one night for me, it's one night for someone, and it's really, really important to them. It's high pressure, it's high stakes, and it's also high reward because when you do mix a show, or even when you do a conference that's very, very busy and intense, you get a reward. There is a release of a show well done. And especially for me, as a guy who grew up playing music and stuff, I just love a guitar solo. I love a person on stage just going for it and the lights are flashing and stuff. Can't beat it, it's like being paid to have fun. The second reason why I can't quit it is because, I'll let you in a secret here, I'm a terrible employee. I love freelancing too much. I love having control over my schedule. I love saying no to things. I love it when someone phones me and says, oh, hey, can you do this theatre show? And I just go, nah, I can't. And do you know what the truth is? I just don't want to. I just have no desire to mix a theatre show or a comedy show. Don't care. Done with it. And I really, really enjoy doing that. And I need a reason to go to work. I need a deadline. I need a purpose. I need someone to say, you come here today because today is the show. I was employed for a brief period of time in one of the rental companies, and I just can't get over this let's go to work on Monday because it's Monday thing. I'm like, what's happening on Monday? Oh, nothing. It's just Monday. I'm like, screw that, man. I only want to go to work when there's something to do. So I can't give that up, if clearly. And the third one is, it's a question of giving up, right? Because the more I list all these problems, they're all me problems. They're all ways that I interact with the industry. And if I leave live sound and take up another job somewhere, those problems will follow me because they're part of me. And so instead of running away from the problems, I like to try and embody the mindset of addressing the problems and thinking, why do I not enjoy work right now? And try and find an answer to that, trying to find a way that I can make work enjoyable again. I hope that was helpful. I hope my colleague is happy with his decision and finds a good life in the path that he's chosen. And if you're thinking about quitting, write a comment down below and let me know why. And I'll leave a video here about all the terrible things that happen to me when I'm working as a sound engineer. If you are just getting started in the industry, I will leave a link down below to some free resources that you can use to get a head start. Until next time, goodbye.